What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Pinfalls and Playbooks podcast, episode number 41. As always, I'm your host, Faiz Kabir, alongside my co-host, Fardan Khan. And guys, this week we have a lot to talk about in terms of wrestling, where we're pretty much building up straight to Backlash. Raw and SmackDown, they had a good amount of story building. Basically, it's all straight to Backlash, which is going to be the main show coming up this Saturday, actually, which we will have our predictions as well. And in terms of NBA, it's just straight playoff season right now. Round one wrapped up. Now we're straight into round two, where it's already kind of got off to a good start as well. And plus, for this week, our sideline heel takes. We both have takes that might actually come to fruition sooner than you think. But let's get straight into this week's episode. Alright guys, first up in our wrestling recap, we're going to talk about SmackDown. So SmackDown started off with Cody Rhodes coming out to adjust the crowd. In my opinion, it's just like Cody Rhodes is pretty much waiting around to find out who's going to be his next opponent. And we actually did find that out sooner later on in the show. But first things first, we had Ricky Saints, who made his debut tonight, actually come out against Cody Rhodes and challenge him to a match. So that automatically kind of pushes Ricky Saints. They kind of see him in that upper level main event star. So they want to put it with Cody Rhodes and make him feel like, get the rub that he's actually part of the higher level of wrestlers on SmackDown.
Yeah, we haven't seen him on television until he got up to the main roster, so this was a great opportunity for him to showcase who he really is, because a lot of people might not know him.
Right. So in terms of next segment was the backstage, where we had Charlotte Flair getting ready for a match with JC Jane. We pretty much had another interaction with Rhea Ripley, and it's been obvious that this history between Rhea Ripley and Charlotte's been going back forever. And, you know, they kind of don't want to help each other, but they do got to help each other in this situation because they want to. It's a fatal influence against Charlotte and Alexa, but Rhea Ripley's not involved, so it's the only way to make it obvious 3-on-3. So they pretty much had their match, and it ended up with everyone getting involved. Obviously, it was going to happen with fatal influence, and stood tall with Rhea and Charlotte standing next to each other. So we know eventually we're going to get that 6-woman tag. Probably sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't make it for Backlash, but I guess just moving forward, it'll definitely happen sooner.
I can see it definitely happening at the end of the month in Italy. Yeah, you know,
that's true.
To load up that card. Next up, we had, again, the tag team division in SmackDown, where it's Damian Priest and R-Truth. Pretty much, they're just having matches every week, and it's against the same old tag teams where they just need to switch it up. It's them against Fraxium this time. But it looks like that Solo Sikoa and Tala Tonga are going to be in the tag team division now. And that's because we had a new wave of cuts where the other members of the MFTs were all cut in Tangaloa and JC Mateo. They were gone.
All the Tongans are gone.
So exactly. And Tala and also Tama Tonga is still there. But it's obvious with Tama Tonga, they have a bigger story with him possibly going after the mid-card title. They see him in that way. But Solo came out and Tala, they pretty much laid their dominance. It looks like they might be going after a tag team championship. Next up, we had is Solo, who stayed out in the ring, pretty much addressing Jacob Fatu, because it looks like there's kind of in this storyline and situation as well.
Yeah, there's something brewing on with the MFTs and the bloodlines. Like, something's going to happen where one of them is going to implode, and we don't know which one as of yet.
Yeah, and it looks like the Usos are involved in this as well, because they've been making appearances on SmackDown, just watching Jacob Fatu, making sure he's okay so Roman Reigns can get his hands on him. That's the storyline. It looks like it's going on right now, but it looks like the MFTs, well, it's not even the MFTs anymore, it's just Solo and Tala, and they're going to get involved, the Usos going to be involved. We don't know what's going to go on Fatu. Like, the Bloodline storyline and the Samoans, this just feels like there's still more that WWE wants to stay and tell stories with.
Yeah, we talked about this in the past, where they could just build on this for years. You know, like they could just bring up the next generation and just continue to do it. And I'll be all for it, to be honest.
Next up, we had is Cody Rhodes versus Ricky Saints. I thought this was gonna be the main event, but they pretty much made this match in the end of hour one at this point, and it kind of made sense basically on what was gonna happen. So Ricky Saints, obviously, he wasn't gonna beat Cody Rhodes on his first day, because Cody Rhodes is just the champion. I don't think this does anything to Ricky Saints. There's nothing where it makes him feel like, oh, he's going to be at the bottom of the barrel. I don't think anything like that's going to happen. He's probably going to just keep building his way up. But it shows that, you know, he can hang in the ring with Cody Rhodes. He took a weird-looking crossroads. I think he just didn't take it properly, and he almost hurt himself. But after the match, we had the appearance of Gunther. Gunther finally made his appearance ever since WrestleMania, right? And it seems like what he's going to do, what's going to happen next. And it looks like Gunther's going to be part of the SmackDown roster because he ended up taking out Cody Rhodes and holding the championship.
I'm all for it. Like, we don't know what that next storyline was going to be. We don't know if he was going to be to continue to have this sentiment of retiring people. But he belongs in the main event picture anyways. He belongs in the title picture, and this is just the right person to do it against.
Right, but one of the things that also makes this a little weird is the Randy Orton storyline. Randy Orton got hurt.
Yeah.
And that's the rumors that's been going around right now. And that's why, because if you think about it logically, how is Cody Rhodes letting Randy Orton go and not going after him because he punted him, right? But it looks like the rumors are kind of true where Randy Orton might be injured, and that's why they have to pivot. And looks like Gunther is going to be the one on SmackDown, and it makes you think, what is his favor going to be? And most likely might have been he just wanted to get transferred to SmackDown and try to go after Cody Rhodes for that championship.
Yeah, we always say, WWE always said there was always a plan B, and this was probably one of them.
Because, I don't know, it's starting to sound more and more likely that Brock Lesnar's retirement was something that caught everyone off guard because they didn't have it planned like that, especially with Gunther possibly challenging him at SummerSlam. But it looks like Brock Lesnar is gone. So they had to, obviously, like you said, move to plan B, and it looks like it's going to be that. So Cody and Gunther, that's most likely going to be the main event at Clash in Italy.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a good match. Obviously, these guys fought once before. Cody Rhodes won when they fought each other at Crown Jewel when it was champion versus champion. So I know Gunther basically, he posted on Instagram, he said he posted the title. It was a photo of him holding the title where Cody Rhodes is laying, and he just wrote, "Time to get my get back." So, it's obvious that he's going after Cody Rhodes. And honestly, if that match happens, I think Gunther has to win. Because how can you not... If he goes onto that roster, if you want to build that feud, that's a feud you could build into SummerSlam.
We'll talk about it when we get there.
Right. Next up we had is Miz and Kit Wilson. This is continuing their segments and shenanigans with Danhausen. And now the match has been official at Backlash. We're going to have Danhausen and a mystery partner versus Kit Wilson and The Miz.
Yeah.
So, it is what it is. It's a funny match. It's going to be a filler match, but it might be entertaining with all the people involved in this. So... I don't hate it. It is what it is. Danhausen's been getting over with the crowd, so people like it. Next up, we had Royce Keys in a squash match against Angel Garza. There was really nothing much to this.
He's going to be in the mid-card title for a while.
For sure, before he even sniffs the upper echelon title. But in the backstage segment, we saw Royce Keys and Jacob Fatu have an interaction. They go way back, and we had Solo, again, make an appearance. He ended up taking out Royce Keys. And Jacob Fatu. So it makes you think like, all right, is Jacob Fatu going to get a partner in Royce Keys on SmackDown? Maybe have a tag team match against Solo and Tala. I could see that happening. Try to get Royce Keys more eyes on TV. So that's why they probably put that angle together. Next up, we had Sami Zayn. Had an interesting segment where he brought up a gingerbread man statue. It was obviously like a mannequin. And this is just another ways and shenanigans of him turning heel. He just took out the gingerbread man statue. People were booing it. And it led to Trick Williams coming out. This is kind of goofy that Trick Williams is pretty much having a in memoriam, acting like the death of the gingerbread man is something. So next week, they're going to be having on SmackDown, they're going to be having a service in memoriam to the gingerbread man. And that's going to just be more time for Sami Zayn to go after him. But they did make the match official where it's going to be Trick Williams versus Sami Zayn, a rematch for the United States Championship. Next up we had was pretty much the women's tag team division where Paige and Brie Bella, they pretty much beat the Irresistible Forces. They're going to continue that storyline. I think that's going to keep going with these two until Nikki Bella is healthy again. And I eventually do think that the storyline is going to be the Bellas' turn on Paige because I think the Bellas could easily play a heel role.
And they've done it in the past.
Exactly. And I think they're going to take out Paige so they can get their championship back and start that feud whenever that starts. And then finally, in the main event, we had the Usos versus the MFTs. And this just pretty much led to another free-for-all brawl at this point where we had 2 SmackDowns in a row where it ended like that. But interestingly enough, we had Fatu and the Usos did not touch each other, just watching each other, making sure that he is ready for Roman Reigns. And that's exactly how SmackDown ended, which jumps right into Monday Night Raw, where Monday Night Raw started off pretty hot, where we had Roman Reigns come into the building ready to talk to Jacob Fatu, but he was told that he wasn't in the arena, and which ultimately led to Seth Rollins crossing paths with Roman Reigns, and it looked very interesting because everyone knows at this point that was supposed to be the Mania match last year. And we know these two, how much of a history that they have with each other. And
this year, no? Or last year, right? No, this year.
Oh, this year, sorry, this year. That they were supposed to face each other this year based on bookings and whatever's going to happen. But they have a huge storyline. They're going to fight each other one-on-one eventually because they still haven't had that one-on-one Mania match yet. And I know that they want to make that happen with all the storyline involved in it.
It's going to be an end-all, be-all, and we don't even know who would win that, to be honest.
But Seth Rollins was making his way to the ring, probably to address the vision and all that stuff. Braun Breaker beat him to the punch, pretty much laid the beat down.
My man came out of nowhere and just, like, 4-4 speed just rammed into him.
Funny enough, I don't know if you know this, but Seth Rollins has been making, like, a weekly appearance on the Rich Eisen show. He's been on that show every week where he's just talking about football and whatever it is. And he basically, Rich Eisen asked him a question about Braun Breaker, and he just kind of gave, like, an actual truthful promo about working with Braun Breaker. He basically said the thing with him is, like, he doesn't know his own speed and strength. And that's the problem where working with Seth, because Seth basically, in short-term words, he basically said Braun Breaker's pretty rough to work with. That's because he's young and he's hungry and he doesn't know his strength and speed. And you see it in segments like this where he is so fast and vicious in delivering these little clotheslines or even massive spears. And that's exactly what he did. He took out Seth Rollins to start the show off, which was good to see. Next up, we had JD McDonough versus Finn Balor. This is still going on. I feel like this needs to, they need to branch out. Like, Finn Balor needs to go do other stuff at this point. I think he needs to somehow, at least, if he's not ready for the upper division right now because it's so loaded with Roman and Jacob, just throw him into the IC title mix. I could see him, there's a lot of fun guys that he could work with in that division, having one-on-one matches I could see him with.
Exactly.
But they're still building that storyline with JD, with the Judgment Day, and it looks like Roxanne Perez is going to be the next person that kind of sways away from the Judgment Day. So that's the storyline that they're building for possibly Roxanne and Liv, that everyone's going to see that probably happen at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
I can see that match happening. Next up on the IC title division, we had Ethan Page and Rusev beat Javon Evans and Penta in a good match. The heels pick up the win. It continues more dominance, establishes more dominance for Ethan Page on the main roster. Right? So it's good to see that the NXT stars are getting a good shine automatically while getting to the main roster. Next up, we had Sol Ruka. She was going to sign her contract. Becky Lynch interrupted, and that's pretty much the next storyline for Sol Ruka, probably going into the main roster. And she had kind of an embarrassing moment. She did miss her move.
I saw, yeah.
So she botched that a little bit, but usually she hits that move. It's really good, but this time it was just a botch. It happens. But that's going to be the match going forward. Most likely probably going to be a Clash in Italy. I could see that match being official as well. And then we had a funny segment with Joe Hendry. He continues to bother and bully Logan Paul by trying to get this chant over about the Fire Logan Paul song. And I think WWE posted a full music video length of that song now. And it's millions of views already.
I gotta see it.
It's actually hilarious. Yeah. And he's just singing, and Logan Paul's he's just getting trolled the entire music video. But it's a good song. It's pretty catchy. It's better than Liv Morgan's Trouble song. That thing is so garbage.
Yo, watching that at WrestleMania, it was like, whoa.
I can't believe we watched the entire thing, which would look horrible. But Joe Hendry was having a match with, I believe, Austin Theory, and Logan Paul got involved. Chaos ensued, which led to the Street Profits coming out, which led to Seth Rollins coming out, which led to Braun Breaker coming out, and Braun Breaker took him out again. So it makes you think, all right, Braun Breaker keeps getting the comeuppance on Seth Rollins. That's never, in WWE terms, that never looks good, right? So it's what's going to happen for the Backlash card? But we'll see. We'll talk about that with our predictions later on. Next up, we had Obafemi, biggest star of the show, honestly, in my opinion, besides Roman Reigns, because everybody wants to see Obafemi in the crowd. The entire crowd continues to chant along every week. He had his open challenge, and it got answered by, we thought, Akira Tozawa, and we're just oh, okay, he's going to murder this guy.
He stepped up to him and then was like, nope, I don't want to do this.
Then we had Otis come in, and they pretty much had a good back and forth for a minute, and then Obafemi launched off the ropes with a massive elbow, and he was just running with so much speed and force and took down Otis, delivered the fall from grace. Obafemi continues to remain undefeated. That's most likely going to keep happening until he probably wins the championship. I don't really see anybody beating him right now anytime soon. So I do think, like we said, it's going to be good to start off with a lot of lower level guys, but I think eventually they need to give him good opponents to make him credible.
It's going to end up coming to a point where he goes into SummerSlam, he's going to probably have an open challenge. It's going to be somebody comes out.
Well, what I think is going to happen is also, don't forget, we have the Saudi show where in between SummerSlam, where they usually do the King of the Ring.
Oh, King of the Ring.
Right. So I think Obafemi is going to be your front runner to win King of the Ring.
I would think so, too.
And most likely, the same thing that Gunther did, where he won King of the Ring and challenged for the championship at SummerSlam. I can see Obafemi doing that, and facing Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. That's the way to do it.
True.
So I could definitely see him trying to win King of the Ring this year, building towards that. Next up, we have the Grandes. They're continuing their storyline. They have one final match, their mask versus mask, on May 30th. That's honestly, if anyone's been following it, that build is really, right? That AAA build, led by The Undertaker down there, he's building a crazy feud down there because those guys are super over. El Grande Americano and the original Grande, they're going to have their final match. This trios match, the heels, which is the original Grandes, they won their match. But on May 30th, most likely El Grande is going to win, and we're going to get Chad Gable back. And I can't wait to finally get Chad Gable back, and I want to see him try to fight his way up because everybody knows he has the potential to be in the main event.
Yeah, wrestling caliber-wise, definitely does. I know a lot of people are questioning his promo skills and stuff like that, but that just happens. You just learn and grow.
Right, but the thing is, like, it's been so long that people forgot because he's been doing this character that at this point, I can't wait to see him back and just being his true, like, Olympic gold medal self. Like, just be another Kurt Angle at this point. You can be, right?
Because that's what he is. That's his, like, forte right now.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I'm excited to see him come back after he loses his mask, and let's see, can they build to something really good for SummerSlam for him? I want to see him in that IC title mix or something like that, because I think he obviously has the capability to do that. Everybody knows he's the most underrated wrestler in WWE. For sure. So that eventually led to the main event where we had the contract signing between Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu. Pretty surface level stuff here, where Roman Reigns is just basically saying that you got to respect me because I'm the head of the family. It's the same old shtick where Roman Reigns has been saying for the last 6 years at this point. And we had Jacob Fatu, where the idea is, the story that they've been pushing is the Tongan grip. The Tongan grip is something that I guess like
it's sacred.
It's sacred, yeah.
Samoan culture,
right? And you're supposed to use that when you're fighting for your life, right? When you're trying, that's the storyline they're pushing. Like, you want to use that when that's your end all be all, right? And Jacob Fatu pretty much is just crazed and is just attacking Roman Reigns in the middle of him talking every single time. And that's exactly what happened here, where Roman Reigns and Fatu were going back and forth for a little bit, but Jacob Fatu ended up standing strong, delivering the Tongan grip through the table. Table didn't break. So both of them signed, and Fatu's standing tall going into Backlash. So that pretty much wraps up Raw, but that goes straight into our Backlash predictions because there's going to be a lot to talk about in Backlash. There's only 5 matches, the Triple H special. So first up, I think they already announced what's going to be in the first hour, which is Seth Rollins versus Braun Breaker. Now, my prediction for this match, Braun Breaker's been standing tall every time that they've been fighting and brawling. In WWE layman's terms, that usually means that the other person is gonna end up picking up the victory. And I do think that Seth Rollins is going to win. I'm going to roll with Seth Rollins only because I do think that this is not going to be their only match that they have, because this is the first time that they're touching each other one-on-one after a year-long feud. So I think the payoff eventually is going to be Braun Breaker winning, but I'm picking Seth here just because he's going to be like, I'm the veteran. You're basically, the storyline is you're too young, you're too hot-headed, you're not using your head, right? So I think Seth Rollins is going to somehow trickery, maybe roll up the tights. I don't think he's going to get a clean victory on Braun, but I think he's going to do enough where he can get a roll-up win or something like that and basically beat Braun Breaker by his own momentum.
I got you. I feel like, is it fair to ask, can this be a no contest? Because, like, you can't really have one of these guys lose at this point, you know? I feel like it's going to come to a point where...
You know, I realize with Triple H, he doesn't really do that.
That's true, but I feel like a match of this caliber, the Vision's going to get involved somehow, some way. The Street Profits are probably going to get involved as well. Joe Hendry might even get involved, you know, the rate that has been going with Logan Paul, stuff like that. On the upside, I'm going to say that Seth Rollins does pick up the victory as well. But I just feel like there's just too much going on with the Vision coming into a play where they're just going to get involved. Something's going to happen. It's going to be declared a no contest. They're going to continue this feud moving forward throughout the summer. Probably the end-all be-all is at SummerSlam. So if I had to pick a winner, I would take Seth Rollins, but I just don't think there will be one. I think it's going to just end up being a disqualification. Well, somebody's attacking somebody, to be honest with you.
Next up, we have is Io Sky versus Asuka, where this is going to be we obviously know these two women can be really good together. They're going to have their really good match. The only thing is, it sucks, is like this match is still lacking because Kairi Sane got released. So that was the whole payoff for this match.
There's going to be a lot of we want Kairi chants during this match.
But I do think that these girls are going to put on a good match and a good show. And eventually I do think Io Sky is going to pick up the win and pretty much put an end to this feud because there's really no more you can add to this substance with Kairi Sane not being there anymore at this point.
I agree. I'm going to roll with Io Sky as well. I feel like I've always been saying she's going to somehow go heel. You know,
I don't really see it anymore. You can't do it anymore.
You never know. Like, they could just come up with something where it just comes to a point where she does go heel. But as of right now, I think this match might steal the night, to be honest with you. There's just going to be a lot of high flying. We know that both of these women, they can work together really well. So I'm going to roll with Io Sky.
All right. And then next up, we have is Trick Williams versus Sami Zayn for the U.S. title. A rematch from WrestleMania. And ultimately, the storyline still here is Sami Zayn still believes that he's a babyface and still trying to get and understand why the crowd is booing him. I think that Saturday night is gonna be the night where Sami Zayn officially goes heel. I think he regains the US title back from Trick Williams because I just think they wanted to give Trick Williams the big good feel moment at WrestleMania, but I think Sami picks up the title back by officially turning heel by low blowing him, rolling up the tights, doing something where he needs to establish, all right, I'm fully heel now at this point. People are going to boo me even more that I took the title away from Trick Williams and build to a match where Trick Williams can chase again, making him a bigger and more established face. That's why I'm going to roll with Sami Zayn, picking up the title back.
I'm going to roll with Trick Williams only because, like, I don't see him losing the title just like that after not even a month, you know what I'm saying? But as far as Sami Zayn going heel, I do agree with you that he is going to go heel in this one. And it's going to probably be like one of those after the match where he takes him out. And I'm not saying the feud will continue after it, but it just establishes himself that I didn't get the job done, but this is my new persona moving forward. So I'm going to keep it like that and just move heel, go do my own thing after the fact. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's a good point too because, you still have Sami Zayn and Cody Rhodes like, they've been teasing stuff back and forth all the time.
There's a lot of things where Sami can do as a heel that he wasn't able to do as a face because he wasn't given that opportunity. And,
I think that match is going to happen eventually with the Sami heel versus Cody face.
Yeah.
Like that's going to happen sooner rather than later. Next up we have is The Miz and Kit Wilson versus Danhausen as mystery partner. This match is not going to be that quick.
I honestly think that Danhausen's partner is going to be like Joe Hendry. I feel like if he doesn't get involved in that Seth Rollins match, it kind of just makes sense for him to just be out there. He's a crowd pleaser, and it kind of just makes sense. I'm going to say mystery partner-wise, it's going to be Joe Hendry, and I think that they pick up the victory anyways. To be honest with you.
I think Danhausen is going to win no matter what, but mystery partner-wise, I could definitely see it being someone like, if they want to really get someone, involved in this storyline and get faces on, is Royce Keys. I could definitely see him being the mystery partner, or I don't know if he's healthy yet, but it'd be a good surprise to see Elton Prince, Kit Wilson's ex-tag team partner. That'd be kind of funny to see if they really want to go with the joking route because this is what it is. It's comedy.
That's true.
So I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that if he's healthy to go. But if I had to pick a serious one, I think Royce Keys comes out, destroys them, and I think Danhausen doesn't even do anything. I think he just gets in the ring and picks up the pinfall at that point. So just for comedy purposes, I'm going to roll with Danhausen and obviously whoever his mystery partner is. Next up, after that, we have John Cena. We thought this man was retired, but my man is on every show at this point.
I think he's just retired from in-ring competition and just wants to be there just to be there. What if he's the person that takes over for Triple H after the fact that if they decide to go that route? You know what I'm saying?
Eventually later on, like in life, where they pretty much decide to move on from him. I don't know. Maybe they could do that role. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to get him because, TKO wants people that makes the money, and John Cena, that's what he does. He makes money. So John Cena has a special announcement to pretty much give to the crowd. I don't know what it's gonna be. It could be anything. I know he's been pushing a lot of this Club WWE stuff. I hope it's not that. Another people have been talking about is WrestleMania destinations. I know people have been clamoring for, there's been a lot of talk about where WrestleMania is going to be in the next few years. I know it's already announced for sure that's in Saudi next year, but the years after that, there's so many talks about Nashville. There's now talks about New Orleans. There's also talks about London possibly. So we're going to find out exactly what Cena is going to be talking about in the announcement-wise. So I don't know what's going to be, but I'm curious to see what it's going to be when it comes to pretty much just continuing John Cena to be on TV. Like, it's weird to see him. Like, you basically said you're retired and everyone had to prepare to not see you anymore. But now you're literally on every PLE going forward, which is kind of funny to me, in my opinion.
I mean, I don't know, man. Anything is possible, really.
And then finally, we have the main event with Roman Reigns versus Jacob Fatu. So, I never thought we were going to get this match this early, especially in Roman Reigns' run. I knew we were going to eventually get this match. I just did not think it was going to be right away. And you could tell by working with Roman Reigns, you're automatically going to become the heel in this situation because Roman Reigns is the biggest babyface probably in wrestling. And Jacob Fatu, he obviously gets still a lot of chance because it's a character that people like, but he was getting a few boos in this. And one interesting thing that I want to see and talk about is this. A lot of these things can play a factor is where, remember I think I talked to you about last week where Roman Reigns was announced for every single show.
Yeah, they kind of, I believe they said that he was going to miss some shows moving
So
forward.
what ended up happening was apparently that wasn't even true. Someone in, I guess like in management or whoever their social media stuff messed up. Like the room, I guess what happened is Roman Reigns is supposed to not be on any shows after June.
Yeah.
So that also kind of raises a lot of alarms, like what's going on here? Like why is he not going to be on the show if he's champion? You know, like how can you not have him? So it makes people think, like, is Roman Reigns going to drop the belt already? Is that a possibility? So I have, if I have my prediction, I'm going to roll with Roman Reigns picking up the W because Jacob Fatu has been standing tall after every segment, and obviously because Roman Reigns just won it. But I wouldn't be surprised if he does lose it because there's been a lot of talks about TKO, pay cuts, and Roman Reigns cutting back schedules. Like, I am really curious to see what's going on there because I think Roman Reigns might be at the level where he's not even on a contract. He might be getting paid on an appearance basis. So if that's the way that he's getting done, I kind of see why TKO's already announcing dates for him right away. Like they just basically throw out Roman Reigns' schedule already, so they know that people want to buy tickets up to get to those shows, right? Roman Reigns is going to be on the entire, I think his newest schedule that he posted himself, he's going to be on the entire May show up until they get to Clash of Italy. So he's on that show. But after that, there's nothing announced for him. So it makes you think, what's the story going to be there? Is he going to hold this title? Is he going to drop it now or at Clash in Italy? What's the story? But for me, I'm going to roll with Roman Reigns for now. But my other theory is, I think Jacob Fatu can pick up the W with the Usos turning on Roman Reigns and joining him. Because they haven't touched. The Usos are not touching Jacob Fatu for a weird reason. And it makes you think, all right, eventually they never, Roman Reigns thinks that the Usos are officially with them. But they never really fully said that yet. Right? So I could definitely see that being a scenario as well.
Yeah, I was actually going to mention that. The fact that obviously we see Solo and Tala getting involved and Jacob Fatu taking them out. What if Jacob Fatu and the Usos are planning something? What if this was all a ploy between Tala and Solo? You know what I mean? But because of all of these TKO contingencies, there's so many things left unanswered. Like you said, we don't know if he's going to be even at SummerSlam at this point, there's just a lot of things that, obviously he's going to be there,
Yeah, it's the second biggest show of the year.
And keeping the title on him until SummerSlam, I like that idea versus him losing it now. It depends who he faces at SummerSlam. So I'm going to take Roman Reigns. Obviously the contingencies make this difficult to pick. But Jacob Fatu, he has the capabilities to be a world champion.
For sure.
Everybody loves him. Even though we see him as a heel right now, that's not exactly what he wants to. Obviously, he's not going for the tribal chief.
Yeah.
He just wants to be well-known, well-respected, more than he already is.
Right.
And he wants to establish himself as that top-dollar wrestler that Roman Reigns is. That's the storyline that they push. But I could see something happening where, like you said, the Usos, they just been on television backing up Roman whenever it needs to. They spoke to Jacob Fatu. They challenged the MFTs at the time, now Solo and Tala. But with that being said, I'm going to just roll with Roman Reigns. I just feel like you can't make him lose just like that.
Right,
you know
and I feel like if he does, then that kind of pretty much we kind of know exactly what his future is going to be.
Exactly, for sure.
Because if he loses that title now, then we just know that he's going to be just part-timing it. And
I feel like that's just going to create more of a rift for fans.
Especially when he won at Mania.
Especially when he just won. Like you said, with how Sami Zayn, winning the back title from Trick, and Roman Reigns just getting the title from Main Event. Like, I don't know, man. It's just a lot to think about. But there's so many aspects to it where
there's a lot of politics
there's the possibility still being there that he could lose the title.
Exactly. There's a lot of politics involved, and that's usually what happens when Roman Reigns matches are going on. But that kind of wraps up our Backlash predictions and as well as our wrestling recap for this week. All right, guys, now it's time for our sports recap, and we're going to be talking about NBA, which is the playoffs right now, and round one wrapped up with a lot of people that we expected to win and a lot of people that we didn't expect to win. So, Ferdinand, I'll let you start off first about your Boston Celtics.
Yeah, so the Celtics, they were up 3-1, and they blew a 3-1 lead to the Sixers. And credit to the Sixers, man. They got Joel Embiid back. He didn't play well the first game that he did come back, and it was just an ass-to-belt moment for the Celtics. And then everybody was like, okay, this is over, you know what I mean? But the Sixers, they're well coached. Nick Nurse is one of the best coaches in the league. They figured out how to play. And at the end of the day, we know the Celtics, what they're going to do. They're going to live and die by the three-pointer, and that's exactly what they did the last 3 games. They couldn't score in the fourth quarter in games 5, I believe. Game 6, they couldn't do it, and then Game 7, Tatum was out. And ultimately, the Celtics, they put up a good fight, but not having your star player in a Game 7, obviously Jaylen Brown, he did whatever he could do, you know what I mean? But the Sixers, they moved on, and now they're playing the Knicks. And they actually played the Knicks last night, and they got asked to belt by the Knicks.
Right.
Now, Jalen Brunson, he was playing really well. He scored, I believe, 27 in the first half, I think, or something like that.
Yes, so Brunson, that's what he does. Every time he plays the 76ers, he always has 30+. He averages a bunch of points against the 76ers. They can't really figure him out.
Yeah.
And it's because it's just the way that he's able to get to his spots in every possession and get hot really quick against the 76ers. That's what's happening here. But let's give our quick predictions for that series right now. I know that there was a belt to ass right now by the New York Knicks.
But I think that kind of was, I wouldn't say expected, but knowing that you just went through a Game 7, the Knicks were obviously more on rest. It kind of just did make sense.
For sure, but in my opinion, the Knicks did look very good. Like they were clicking on all cylinders. Their offense, their defense, they just look really poised. So for my prediction was, I'm picking the Knicks in 6 to win this. Because I just feel like the Sixers, they don't have, I wouldn't say they don't have enough. I just feel like they don't have enough defense to stop Jalen Brunson. And I think Jalen Brunson is going to literally get 25, 30 points every single game that they play. And you're going to lose to just better offense at this point. And I think the Knicks have the better offensive player all around in this series, in my opinion. Because Joel Embiid, he looks like he was getting shut down by Cat.
Yeah, I feel like the Knicks, they match up way better than the Celtics do. They have the big men. They have the big personnel to guard Tyrese Maxey. You can put Mikal Bridges on him. You can put OG Anunoby on him if needed, because we don't know that if Paul George is going to play as well as he did against Boston, against the Knicks, because of those wing defenders.
That's their X factor.
Exactly, for sure. And I'm going to take the Knicks in a gentleman's sweep, to be honest with you. I feel like the Sixers, they get one at home, whether that's Game 3 or 4. But the Knicks, they're well rested. They have a motive to go out now that Boston, who was arguably the favorite in the East, they're gone. And this is the Knicks season, in my opinion, to make the finals. And I feel like this is just their recourse to get it done, you know? So I'm going to take the Knicks in 5.
Right. And then on the East side, we both had the Cavs and Pistons win their Game 7s. They pretty much established dominance in their Game 7s, why they were the better teams overall in this entire series. So now they faced up and match up to each other, and they're pretty much having their match tonight. And so far, it just looks like, in my opinion, the way that the Pistons play and the way that the Cavs play, I think the Cavs match up better against them. The Pistons, they really don't have a second-level scorer. So it's just Cade Cunningham, and that's how they've been winning games, where Cade is balling out of his mind. And if he's not, they're not winning games. And I think the Cleveland Cavaliers, they have enough from James Harden, from Donovan Mitchell, and Evan Mobley to carry them to this. I think the Cavs win this. And honestly, I think the Cavs are going to win it in 5. I think gentlemen's sweep. I just think that the Pistons, it's going to get exposed to the level where they don't have enough defensive-wise, and as well as Jalen Duren also was not looking good in the last series as well. And I think Evan Mobley's going to kind of really put the beat down on him in this series, because Evan Mobley is a way better player than whoever was guarding Jalen Duren in the Raptors series. So it's going to be more work for him. And I just think the Cavs are going to overwhelm them with their amount of offense from all 3 levels. So I'm picking the Cavs to win this in 5.
I'm going to roll with the Cavs as well. I did have them going to the finals at the beginning of the season. But I think it's going to be a much more contested series because the Pistons, they match up well defensively against the Cavs. And at this point, it is Cade Cunningham's show. Like that's all it really is. They'll eventually figure out how to stop him. But I'm going to roll with the Cavs in 6. I just feel like Donovan Mitchell, he's going to carry the team. I don't think they're going to do well in the first game. But as the series progresses on, they're going to pick up on how to defend Cade Cunningham. And like you said, Evan Mobley, he's the X factor in all of this because it's pretty much Jalen Duren against Jared Allen.
They're going to cancel each other out.
Exactly. So I'm going to roll with the Cavs in 6.
All right. And then next up we have is another matchup where we have the Lakers and the Thunder. The Lakers won their matchup. People had a scare where they thought that they were going to blow their 3-1 lead.
3-0 lead.
Sorry, their 3-0 lead, correct. But LeBron James finally showed out, set the tone in the Game 6, and decided that, all right, it's time to carry this team into the next round. The Rockets got eliminated. And, of course, the Thunder, they've been on rest forever. They had a sweep from the beginning. So we're going to have the Thunder versus the Lakers. I feel like everyone has this matchup pretty much going as expected. I think the Thunder win this in 5. I think LeBron James is going to pull out one game, just showing his greatness in this. At LA, at home, I think he can win a game 3.
Is Luka out?
Luka is trying to get back. So it all depends if he's coming back. Even if he does come back, I still think that the Thunder is going to whack the floor with them. That they're just too loaded on every single time. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a walking bucket. Every single where he goes, no matter where he goes, he's going to score 30-plus points like nothing. And I think Chet Holmgren is going to have a big game here because the Lakers have 0 big men. DeAndre Ayton is not going to be able to even guard Chet Holmgren, in my opinion, because Chet Holmgren can stretch the floor. DeAndre Ayton has to get his ass out there, and he doesn't even get out there for any other player. So it's going to show and prove that overall, I think the Thunder have better weapons to just win this, and I think the Thunder win this in 5.
If Luka comes back, the Thunder will still win this series, but I think it'll be a much more competitive series. I think the Thunder would win that in 6. But if Luka doesn't come back, this is going to be a 5-game series, like you said.
Yeah,
like the Lakers, they're going to probably take one at home and just to glorify the king and stuff like that. But overall, the Thunder, they're the title favorites, as they should be. And I'm gonna take the Thunder in 5.
All right, and then next up we have is probably again going to be the best matchup from the first, is going to be on the second round now, where we had the Wolves, who were probably the best matchup from the first round. They beat the Denver Nuggets, and it showed out where the Denver Nuggets lost that game without Anthony Edwards, without Dante DiVincenzo, and the Wolves still ended up beating the Denver Nuggets and moved on to the next round, showing that they're poised and grit to want to actually try to win a championship this year. And on the other side, Wembanyama and the Spurs, they pretty much took care of the Trailblazers pretty, they had some competitive games. They had competitive games, but they were able to pretty much get out of that scot-free. And now we had the matchup where these two played each other last night, and it was a battle of defensive games last night. I watched that entire game from start to finish, and I watched Wembanyama get fucking 7 blocks in the first quarter almost. And I was like, this guy is swatting everything, but he was not good offensively. He was very bad from the field, and I don't think that's going to happen again. Anthony Edwards was not supposed to play this game. Came back.
Off the bench.
18 points he scored. Pretty much delivered his key crucial buckets in the fourth quarter. He had 11 points in the fourth quarter of his 18, where they needed him most. And this game was neck and neck the entire time. It all even ended up pretty much going down to a single shot by Julian Champagnie, who had a good look. He missed, but it's crazy to think that this game was still super close with Wembanyama having a bad game. Defensively, he had actually an all-time game with 12 blocks.
He had a triple-double, too.
Yeah, he had a triple-double, 12 blocks, playoff record. But in terms of Wemby's offensive status, that wasn't a good game for him.
Yeah, he'll pick it up.
And I think he'll pick it up for sure. But with Anthony Edwards getting better back and back, this Wolves team is pretty scrappy. And they didn't have Ayo Dosunmu, who was their other scorer.
Leading scorer, yeah.
So it makes you think this is a toss-up series, in my opinion, because I don't know who can win when they're both fully healthy. And I'm going to roll with Anthony Edwards and the T-Wolves. I think they win this in 7. I think this is going to go to Game 7 because you could see the competitiveness from Wemby. Wemby's going to want to compete every single night. I think the dogs that they have, Dylan Harper and Stephon Castle, they tried really their hardest to pretty much try to lock down their guards and score offensively. De'Aaron Fox didn't have a good game either as well, their leading point guard. But I think that the T-Wolves, with their expertise and the veteranness of them being there multiple times, I think they win this in 7.
Yeah, I'm going to roll with the Wolves as well. I feel like Anthony Edwards, I remember you saying last year that he was going to come about and rise to the occasion and make the finals. And I'm not saying this is his season to make the finals. Granted, he is hurt. But if he continues to have that dog that we know he has in him, he's just going to carry the Wolves into the Western Conference Finals, whether that's against the Thunder or Lakers, like we both picked the Thunder. But he just has a lot to prove. He didn't get it done, and he's supposedly the next face of the NBA. Right now, it's looking like it's Shea and then Wembanyama, who are two international superstars, right? Technically, because Shea's from Canada, right? But Anthony Edwards, they're looking at him as the next face of the NBA when LeBron, KD, Curry, they all go. So this is his moment to rise to the occasion. And if you take out the Spurs, you're giving yourself that hope that you can get to the finals, especially overcoming this injury and overcoming the heap that is the Spurs. So I'm going to roll with the Wolves in 7.
In 7 too, yeah. So I think these 8 teams that are left in this, it's going to be a competitive series in my opinion. The only ones I kind of don't really see it.
Yeah, Sixers and Knicks, Thunder and Lakers.
The Thunders and Lakers. Well, the Sixers can still be competitive.
If they can manage the wall that is there for breaking, which is Jalen Brunson.
They can do it. It's all going to be about
because they almost did it a couple of years ago.
Right. It's all about gaming and scheming and how they can fix and figure out exactly how they want to stop Brunson.
Exactly.
Because in the end of the day, what they can do is revert back to the way they kind of beat him, where you let Josh Hart beat you. Yeah. You double every time Brunson, and you let Josh Hart try to beat you with threes. And more than likely, he probably won't hit him. So I think that's got to be their game plan to win that series. But the only series for sure that's most likely everyone knows is going to be the Thunder. We just know that the Thunder's going to get back to that realm. But that kind of sums up the synopsis of what's going on currently in the NBA playoffs. We're going to pretty much touch upon it next week, where we'll figure out even more of the who's going to be really going into the next round.
We might have some series clinchers by next Tuesday, but there's just a lot of question marks whether Anthony Edwards, he's going to continue this dominance. Can the Sixers overcome this overwhelming heap that is the Knicks? Can Luka come back at this point? And the Cavs and Pistons, can they rise to the occasion for whoever comes out of that series?
For sure. But that kind of wraps up our NBA recap for this week. All right, guys, now it's time for our sideline heel takes this week. And Farnan, you're going up first, so I'll let you go first with your sideline heel take.
Yeah, so with Backlash approaching, we obviously saw in the last couple of weeks various cuts that happened in the WWE world. A lot of them, they were questionable. We saw Aleister Black get cut. We saw Kairi Sane get cut. We saw half the Emma Teves, they're gone. And I'm sure...
And of course, the New Day. We can't forget.
And the New Day. We don't know if they were cut or they were just...
They just did. So what the rumor is with that is they just basically, quickly, that they want... TKO went to them to restructure their contract because it was obvious that New Day was probably making high-level money, but they're not being used like that.
And we obviously see all of these pay cuts that's going on.
And they wanted to restructure the contract, but Xavier and Kofi decided to be like, all right, we've done our business. We know how good we were worth. And they felt like they can get paid better somewhere else, so they decided to leave.
I mean, it kind of does make sense. I can sit here and criticize the fuck out of TKO because they deserve all the criticism in this because they're kind of ruining WWE from what we expected it to be over the last few years, and it just kind of hasn't shown. But that's not my sideline heel take. My sideline heel take is that WWE needs to bring back an offset division that is separate from SmackDown and Raw, and that is also separate from NXT, AAA, as well as, like, I believe they still have the Rush show. And in my opinion, they should bring back, I'm not saying they should bring it back, but they should bring something of ECW caliber. And I feel like there's a lot of things WWE can do.
So like a hardcore type show, or are you just talking about a third brand?
A third brand.
Because I don't think they'll ever get to a hardcore level.
No. I know they won't. But a third brand is something that I feel like they can do, you know what I mean?
They consider NXT as their third brand, but...
They can, but that's, I feel like, more for rising superstars.
Right, I get what you mean, like official, like, weekly third brand.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Even though,
we know that SmackDown, as of right now, is 3 hours, and I'm
sure... It is going back down to 2.
It is going back down to 2. But I know back in the day, when they did have ECW, they would film an hour of ECW right before SmackDown or after SmackDown, whatever it was.
I think ECW would only be an hour.
Yeah, and they would show it on Tuesdays to show that it was the other show. They would also have the different commentators and stuff like that. Right. But what they can do is, if they want to keep SmackDown at the 3 hour mark, have a show before SmackDown or after SmackDown. You know, you bring it back an hour, end it at 10, or you could start it at 7. You could you could do 8 o'clock to 11, 8 to 9, whatever it is, and then go from there. Obviously, you keep it to that realm how it was with ECW, where they would film it the same day, but then show it on Tuesday or whatever it was. I believe it was on Tuesday. Back in the day.
I remember. Yeah.
But this would also give people that never really got that opportunity in WWE to really showcase their talent in this new brand that can come about. Because we all know that Aleister Black, he was a good wrestler.
Yeah.
Kairi Sane, she didn't really get a chance. Much of the MFTs, they didn't really get a chance because they were just spinning whatever Solo Sikoa was coming off of.
Right.
And I'm sure they all have different skill sets than fans can get behind. And I feel like this would also draw fans back into the conversation of we have all of these talents that are being utilized in the proper way. Like, I'm not saying I want the New Day in this brand, but I'm just saying, like, if you're going to give them that opportunity, have it showcase it there. And this would also bring in greater financial decisions for WWE. It's going to draw money. It's going to draw attention. And I'm sure most fans would want certain people to come back if they could afford them. And I feel like creating this third brand, it'll draw the attention and it'll create a market for people that have left, and that can definitely come back.
Yeah.
But I'm going to just say that WWE needs to bring something of that caliber that's different from NXT, AAA, and anything else that they decide to do, like, you know?
So what's an interesting thing that I can definitely see happening is, obviously, WWE kind of does view NXT as their third brand, right?
Right.
But,
and we've seen superstars go down and wrestle there, you know?
So another thing that I can definitely see happening is recently NXT just got picked up by CW again, so think about it this way. CW is on every single TV because it's a cable. It's not cable. It's regular TV.
Yeah.
So that's why technically, if you think about it this way, NXT gets more eyes. Obviously, people don't watch it, but NXT technically would have more eyes on their show than SmackDown even.
Well,
right?
if they want to keep, like, I know people consider it as the third brand,
right?
And they would, I guess, go bigger in that sense where they would put more known stars.
That's what I was gonna say. I'm like, the way that they can kind of establish that, especially with being on CW, and now pretty much they're taking their pay-per-views and taking it away from YouTube and Peacock. They're gonna put their pay-per-views on CW as well. So I think if they really want to establish that as a third brand, you got to put a big name down in
exactly.
NXT.
Yeah.
So for example, like, think about it this way though. NXT did create the biggest stars that are coming up. Obafemi and Trick Williams. These guys are coming up, right? So if you really want to establish that as your bigger show, you have to send somebody big down there to really make it that. And if not, you can say they can go with your idea where they just make another brand show.
Yeah, like create another championship, have 3 championships, you know. I remember seeing back in the day where Undertaker saw Bobby Lashley, saw John Cena, saw Batista. I would want to see that again, you know?
Right. Then they have a lot of talent to do it.
Exactly.
But it depends how stingy TKO is with their money nowadays.
Yeah, and they're making a lot of money, but they're just paying a lot of people unnecessarily and trying to create more drama, which they haven't done, you know?
Right. But yeah. So yeah, I get that. Because I could definitely see WWE eventually doing that if they decide to pretty much keep those talent and give them a bigger star and shine if they really want to push for that level.
Exactly.
But let's go to my sideline heel take this week. And my sideline heel take this week revolves around, obviously, basketball that's going on right now, and that's specifically the NBA playoffs. And it's been customary that the NBA playoffs, and even games in general, has been the traditional 48 minutes. In my opinion, I feel like that's a little too long. And I think they can possibly go the international and FIBA route where it's 40 minutes. Pretty much 4 quarters, 10 minutes. And I think that'd be a greater way to push pace in a lot of ways of the NBA games. Because think about it this way, one of the things I think is better pacing and less drag to the NBA games. Because in my opinion, I feel like NBA games have been getting longer when watching them. I remember when watching them before, they used to go pretty fast. But now with all the replays, with all the pretty much, challenging.
There's been a lot more fouls.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. A lot more fouls, a lot more challenges. All this stuff prolongs the game, right? So I remember an NBA game, you could pretty much wrap that up in the entire by watching it within the 2 hours. Now you're getting close to 3 hours almost watching a full NBA game front to back. And I realized that last night watching the Spurs game and the Timberwolves game.
And you know what also is? Too many goddamn commercial breaks.
Right, but that's because obviously the NBA is involved with a lot of deals and the people needs to get paid, and that's how owners pay their team. All that stuff all makes sense with their media rights deal. All that stuff makes sense. But if I had the ability, I pretty much would want to make it a 40-minute game where I think you could definitely do it. It would pretty much lighten up everything and make the product feel more watchable. It's be a lot more fast paced. And it's fun to watch teams, in my opinion. When you look at the Warriors, they were a prime example during that time period where they were on top, where it was the fastest paced offense out there. And when you watch teams like the Knicks, when they're running the ball, they're on fast pace, they're fun to watch. They're exciting. And you see that with any NBA team when they're pretty much pushing the pace in the game. Next up is pretty much, it's pretty simple math. Less minutes equals less injuries. Less wear and tear on the body. You play 40 minutes, right? For example, you have teams that obviously if games go 48 minutes, right? Eventually, obviously, games are going to go into overtime as well, which adds more minutes to the game. But 40 minutes, you can work off of that. You'll have less time that it equals for overtime as well when overtime gets to it. But the season is already 82 games, right? And this kind of goes back to the reason why people are sitting out more games, why they're more injured, because they feel like some of the players probably feel like there's too many games in the season anyway as well. If you lower the minutes per game, I think it could definitely open up a lot more less fatigue, and it could equal pretty much lower injury risk, improve playoff quality as well, and extend careers, because then now you can see people like Wembanyama, who's been saying that he wanted to play for a very long time coming up. If you have shorter quarters, you can definitely see Wembanyama play for 20 plus years. You don't really see that, especially with people with his size and his body, because people that are that tall, they get injured so easily. But with less time and playing out there, I can definitely see it happening. Next up, bench players. Rotation matters even more because it's 40 minutes versus 48, so your minutes get more restricted. You have to have actual key stars that you want to use on your rotation for this, right? Because it makes it more feel like, okay, how much do I really want to play my sixth man? How much do I really want to play my seventh man? It makes the coaches do more of their job, in my opinion, when you have more minutes, and you can see exactly who's more crucial to be on the court during that time. And lastly, I'm going to say is pretty much higher intensity. If you look at the FIBA games, if you look at the international games, they're short. They need to pretty much get their buckets in. They need to get their defense in within that time period. And that's why I think, like, if you're able to pretty much lower the time to 40 minutes, you get faster tempo, more urgency from the teams, and it's pretty much fewer coasting possessions, where sometimes you see possessions where, here's a prime example for your Boston Celtics, where they pretty much come up to the court, there's dribble by Peyton Pritchard, and it ultimately leads to a freaking contested three-pointer because that's what they know what they're doing, right? But with limited time like that, it limits possessions like that throughout the game. That's why I think it's a possibility in the future, if they decide to go the international route or the FIBA route, lowering the game minutes for the game can possibly increase more watching and more intensity and more excitement for the game as well.
I'm not a fan of the idea. What I am a fan of is shortening the season, to be honest with you. I feel like if you do that, it can do a lot of what you just said, you know? Like, it can reduce wear and tear. You don't got to travel as much. You'll get the opportunity to see the stars play a lot more. You'll see bench players come into effect if you keep the same minutes around. And
so my argument to that, though, real quick, would be, if you do that, right, how do you justify playing these players so much freaking money to play even less games?
That's not my job to decide, because basketball players on an annual basis, they make the most compared to other sports leagues in this country.
That's why I feel like, so here's the crazy part. As an owner, if I owned a team, right, and I'm playing them so much money, right, and you're playing even less, and you're getting less eyes, that equals to less revenue in my pocket. Because think about it this way, there's not more games being played at home, which equals nothing going into your pocket at home, and it equals less media rights deals and less games being played on TV, which equals to less ads being given to the teams and the owners itself.
But you got to consider the fact that this will be beneficial to all the players that are in the league.
Yeah, for the players itself, right? But the players, they're going to have nowhere to play without owners paying them.
Well, exactly. But I'm not saying it should go down to like 60 games. 82 games, you have back-to-back, the amount of flying that you do.
For sure.
It takes a toll on your body.
They need to find the happy medium.
Right. And I'm not saying the minutes is a bad idea. I just don't agree with it, because the easier way out is to just shorten the season. Like, for example...
Really? I feel like the minutes are easier than actually cancel games, shortening the season.
So think about it like this.
Logistically, that's not...
But think about it like this, right? Let's just say 82 games, right? You play 41 at home, 41 away.
Yeah.
You're going to also have 2 new expansion teams.
Whenever that happens.
Whenever that happens, whether that's in Seattle, in Nashville, wherever the fuck it is, or Vegas, right?
Right, Vegas most likely.
And you're going to have teams move, probably like the Pelicans or the Grizzlies. They're going to come to the East, the Timberwolves, whatever, And you're going to have to do a lot more flying going from city to city. Granted, it's only for 3-4 hours, but you're still flying. You got to get on the plane right after you leave. But let's just say you shorten it to 76 games, right? That's 36 at home, 36 away.
Mind you, this is not even including playoffs.
That's what I'm saying, right? Because you have all of these teams going into June, right? But let's just say you take away 6 games, right? You can push the season back until maybe like Thanksgiving time instead of having it start in October. You give players the opportunity to get themselves more, I guess, ready for the season, have their A game ready. And you still also have the NBA Cup in mid-season, right? So if you shorten the season, it'll create better competition, in my opinion. Like, it'll give the players the balance that they need. Because if you think about it, let's just say you get eliminated. And you obviously get eliminated because you suck as a team. You know what I mean? Like, you get eliminated. You don't play basketball from April to like September. You start getting back into the grind in maybe like mid to late August. Then you start playing preseason in September. The season starts in October.
Right.
But if you do get eliminated, let's just say in April, preseason starts at the end of September, goes into October, mid-November, regular season starts, whatever happens with the NBA Cup after that. And I feel like if you just give players more time and opportunity, they'll play a lot better and they'll play more, I feel like if you just lowering the minutes, I get it. But in my opinion, I just feel like the easier route would be just to shorten the season, at least minimum 6 games.
I get it. You're viewing it from the player aspect. I was viewing it from the ownership aspect because they will lose.
We just know they don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? That's what they're. I'm looking at it from a playing standpoint. You know, and I'm sure if they get the opportunity to play a shortened season, they'll come up with the ways to create that financial dismissal that they'll get from an extra 6 games. You know what I mean?
No, I get it. All right, but that kind of wraps up our sideline heel takes for this week and our episode for this week. Pretty much. Next week, we're going to be touching upon our Backlash reactions and what's pretty much going to be the storylines for WWE going forward into another pay-per-view they're going to be probably building into, Clash in Italy. Yeah, we're getting 2 pay-per-views in 1 month, which is, kind of a WWE special starting to happen. We're seeing it a lot more and more where there's getting 2 pay-per-views a month. So we'll see those stories start to build. And in terms of NBA, we're pretty much getting an idea of what's going to be the playoffs at that moment, going into the Western and Eastern Conference Finals, who's going to be on top at that point. And obviously, next week we'll also probably try to touch upon what's going on currently on the MLB world, because right now games are pretty stagnant, where teams are just playing each other. So we're going to get more news and kind of more stuff to talk about that on next week. But thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace.